Welcome to DJ Motivation Podcast with DJ Johnny Scott, your host. And listen, this podcast is designed to be the first thing you listen to as soon as you wake up. Every day of the week, this podcast is going to motivate you, get you pumped up, get you to change your state of mind. Share this podcast, share it with your friends, like it, okay? Leave comments if this resonates with you, and I'm lucky you're here. DJ Johnny Scott signing out. DJ Motivation with DJ Johnny Scott. Are you ready to go? Let's get this going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off your day. Let's go. Okay, I want to welcome you back, DJs. Look, yesterday's message was about vision boards. I hope you took action on it. And you got one on your phone sitting there right now. And you really took the time to put all the things that really are important and meaningful in your goals, in your personal life, your business life, and your music career, okay? Now, this episode is going to be about taking massive action, all right? Now, as DJs, you may have never heard of a guy named Grant Cardone. In fact, you probably haven't unless you're in the business space, okay? Grant Cardone wrote a book called The 10X Rule. Now, I honestly say you should go pick it up. I know you're a musician. I know you're not a business guy probably. And if you are, you might have the book. But if not, I want you to go pick up the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Okay? Or at least look it up and see what people say about it on YouTube. Okay? It's a phenomenal concept. Now, what he explains in this concept really is about taking massive action. Kind of like I'm taking action with this podcast, right? I thought about putting this podcast together for years. It's just a thought. I never took action on it. You know, and part of taking massive action is looking at the goals and the things in your life that you really should be doing, that you want to be doing, but you're not doing, and then just saying, whatever, I'm just going to do it anyway. Whether I feel like doing it or don't feel like doing it, whether I miss a day or don't miss a day, whether it's imperfect or perfect, whether I think it's right or not right, I just do it. Okay, now, you may have taken massive action in your life as a DJ and a musician and not even realize that that's what you were doing, and that's why at that moment you were super successful. You know, like when I was younger, I just was so interested in music and being a DJ that I didn't realize I was using the 10X rule at different times as a musician without realizing. I'll give you an example, okay? When I first started DJing, I could not mix beats for the life of me, okay? I just couldn't beat match, all right? And, you know, in fact, there's this guy, I remember my first gig with my friends at this field party. They let me play. And honestly, you know, I did okay. The next party was this indoor party we threw. And this kid just started booing me. You know, he started booing me. Now, if he's listening to this podcast, because we're actually really good friends, it's okay. He apologized later on because he said, you know, we went to a party years later and he's like, you know, man, sorry I booed you all those times, but, you know, you've really turned into an amazing DJ. I can't believe it. And I'm kind of glad that happened to me. I'm going to save that episode for another, thought for another episode. Probably the next one, challenges and why challenges are actually a setup for growing, okay? But back to the madness here, okay? Look, I didn't realize this was about taking massive action, but what happened is I got so pissed off that he just kept booing me whenever he came to a show that I played, a house party I played, or whenever I saw him, he just would say I suck. He's like, you know, you suck, Johnny. You freaking suck, man. You can't beat match. You should stop DJing. You just need to give up. Well, nobody really has ever heard the story, except probably my family, because they had to deal with it, especially my grandmother, because I lived with her at the time, and my brother. But what I did was I got so angry about the situation, I went down into my basement where I had a pool table, and I had set the turntables up there every once in a while and whatnot, and then I'd break them all down and play pool. But this time what I decided to do is I said, you know, I'm not going to leave this basement until I can beat match like a master. And I don't know why I put that thought in my head at 18, 19 years old, but I did. I just freaked out. I got pissed off, and I literally sat in this basement with the records I had. And I just kept playing them and playing them and playing them and playing them, guys. Guys, I played them for probably 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for like 2 straight, maybe 3 or 4 straight weeks. In fact, it was so much so that when I wasn't at work, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was probably like 7, 8 hours a day. And what was crazy about it is I was working a job at the time, and I'd go work the job, and I'd come back home and I'd play records. I'd play records at low volume. I'd play records at high volume when I was allowed to. I'd play records at super low volume, okay? But every waking moment that I wasn't working at my job at the car wash, I literally, or the restaurant, because I had a couple jobs at the time when I was a little kid at 18. But look, man, friends would say, hey man, let's go play, let's go hang out, let's go party, let's go to the next party. Like, no, not yet, man. I'm kind of busy right now. I'm just working on some stuff. And they'd be like, what do you mean you're working on some stuff? Like, yeah, I'm busy. And I never really explained to them what I was doing. My brother knew what I was doing. My grandmother knew what I was doing. In fact, my grandmother and my brother both, after a couple weeks of this, were like, you got to stop, man. I mean, it's really annoying. You just keep mixing records and mixing records and mixing records. My gosh, when is this going to stop? And I was just like, it's not going to stop until I get it. And I was able to lower the volume, but I just kept going and kept going. See, this is what Grant Cardone talks about in his book, The 10X Rule, about taking massive freaking action. Massive action. And it's going to look crazy to your family. It's going to look crazy to your friends. It looked crazy to my grandmother and my brother at the time. And I don't know, after a while, I even thought it was crazy. And I just kind of trusted my instinct, and I just kept going. Well, needless to say, when I got done with that month in the dungeon in the basement mixing records, and I went to another house party finally with my friends, and they were like, Johnny, you want to play? I was like, yeah, I do want to play. Well, I just started to rip it like no other, okay? Rip it like no other. And then lo and behold, I got asked to play another party. Then another party, then another house party, then another house party. And this kept going and going and going. And literally, guys, I was so crazy about taking massive action when I was a little kid about DJing. Guys, I would stay up at the party, at the after party, just to get an opportunity to play. Okay, I'd go to big parties and I'd listen to big DJs and I'd ask them crazy questions. Like I asked Timo Maas a question like, what makes you the greatest DJ in the world? Seriously. Or one of the greatest DJs in the world. Why are you so good? He gave me some crazy answers, okay? About thought and mind. I think I touched on it a little bit in the last episode about vision boards, okay? It was just an insane answer, that he can visualize in his mind, and he pumps himself up in the mirror before he goes out and plays that he is the greatest DJ in the world, and that he can take those turntables and make them do whatever he wants. Period. Make people dance, make people leave the dance floor. Make people go, make people grow. It was just insane what he said. And what's crazy about it is this all kind of tied together because of taking massive action. This happened when I talked to him about this. It was in the middle of taking massive action, okay? And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know I was using the 10X rule before the 10X rule and the 10X book was even written down by Grant Cardone. And he wasn't even doing that kind of stuff with the book. It wasn't even out. It didn't even exist yet, okay? So I kind of tied these moments in my life together later on once I read his book. But I went to a party after the after party of Timo Maas, and it was a house party. This tiny little house. It's crazy, okay? So I'm sitting there, and all these other DJs play. And then one after the other. I'm just a young DJ. I'm new, okay? Well, all of a sudden, everybody's tired of playing. True story, guys. Everybody's tired. It's probably 8 in the morning, guys. It's crazy, right? And I just look around, I go, hey, is it okay if I play, guys? You guys don't want to play anymore. You seem like you're tired. And they're like, yeah, sure. Go ahead and play some records, right? We don't care. Who are you? And that's really, I was nobody, guys. I had been so little time, or spent so little time in the scene yet. I was a pup, okay? And I put the records on. I decided to use, in my mind, what Timo Maas talked about. Okay, I sat there and I looked at the turntables. I said, look, I am going to make you do what I want you to do. You're going to make every single person in this freaking little house, I don't care how small the house is, I don't care if it's 8 in the morning, you're going to make these people dance like you've never, ever made anyone dance in your life. And they're all gonna be screaming and going crazy when you're done. And you know what's funny? I put that in my brain and I really believed it. And this was after I had spent a whole month in my basement, guys. Probably like 100+ hours of mixing records, just mixing records, going at it like a 10x maniac, maybe a 100x maniac, okay? Some guys never spend that much time deep in a basement mixing records and learning how to beat match and key signature in their life, okay, and how to scratch. They just don't do it. They don't put the effort in, okay? Not even in a whole lifetime. It's funny, man. 1 hour a week would be 100 weeks. It'd be 2 years. Yeah, most guys don't even put that in, okay? And they call themselves a DJ. So I did it, and the next thing you know, crazy turn of events, right? I started playing, I started going at it, and by the time I was done playing, 3/4 of that house was awake. They were screaming, they were pounding their feet, they were dancing to my tracks, they were going, holy shit, who are you? And the next thing you know, some guy from New York City walks up to me, or New Jersey, actually he's from New Jersey, and somehow some guy in New Jersey was living in Springfield and had all these contacts with New Yorkers and Australians and, oh my gosh, man, all kinds of people. This guy, Rich, right? And next thing you know, Rich comes up to me. He goes, hey, man, who the hell are you? You're amazing. And I go, well, I'm DJ Johnny Scott. And the next thing you know, this guy goes, hey, man, that's it. I'm your agent. I'm going to make you big, man. I'm going to do everything in my power to make you get into this scene. Locally, nationally, and internationally. I said, great. That's my ultimate goal in life. And you know, it's funny. It's like from there, me and him just formed this kind of bond and partnership. And I played so many freaking house parties, so many outdoor parties, so many other parties with promoters, and other promoters started to take notice of me. And I started to play parties in Springfield, St. Louis, Chicago, Kansas City, you name it, man. I mean, then the next thing you know, I'm playing in places like New York City, New Jersey, and it was all thanks to Rich, but it was all thanks to what? I didn't know how I was going to do it. I mean, I was a little kid from Kansas who had moved from California to Kansas, okay? I mean, literally, how was I going to do it? How was I ever going to go play in New York City? Well, this all happened, I didn't know how. It happened from taking massive action. So what I want you to do, today's lesson, I'm going to stop here. I want you to sit down and get a piece of paper out and write down 3 major things in your music career that you could take massive action on right now that you're not doing, okay? And you don't need to know how you're going to get there or how you're going to get to the goal you want, but you just want to start taking massive action. 10x action, okay? 10x it. Like Grant Cardone would say, 10x it. And guys, you laugh. You can even go to grantcardone.com and you can get his little bracelet. It's got 10x on one side. It's blue. And it says, success is my duty. Now, I know this is a business guy. Who gives a shit, right? We're DJs. We're musicians. You know, you've probably never been introduced to this probably, okay? But look, if you want to take this further, go to his website. Go buy his little wristband. 10x. It's got 10x on one side and success is my duty. I wear that shit every day when I think about the 10x rule. There are days when I put that on and I'll grind, man. I'll grind and grind and grind and grind. I'll drink an energy drink and I'll grind because I don't do drugs anymore, really. I do everything I can to stay away from drugs, okay? Even though every DJ or half the DJs, including listening to this podcast, have had problems with drugs and alcohol. And we'll save that for another day, okay? Maybe I'll get into my deep, dark, bad, secret past, okay? But here's the thing. My life is transformed, man, because of positive thinking, because of vision boards, because of thinking of things like the 10x rule, and your life can be too. So go do that right now. Go set up several things, write them down. Crazy goals, hairy, crazy goals that you just don't know how you're going to do them, okay? And then think about how you can 10x the actions in your life to get there. Because without action, a vision board is worthless. If you take no massive action, you don't 10x any action in life, then lesson 1 here on the vision boards, the one we just had before this, is going to be worthless. Okay, guys, I know this is a little longer than the 5 to 10 minutes like I usually do. This is like 13, 14 minutes. But look, man, I hope you got massive value out of this today. Well, you made it to the end of the DJ Motivation Podcast for the day. I'm so lucky that you're here. If you got real value out of this, please go to your social media and share this on your Facebook page. Share this on your friends, your family, your loved ones, your other DJs who need this advice today. If it resonated with you, go over to iTunes and like us. and get this page to the top. Everything helps. Now guys, if you want more information and you want to hear about our Facebook Lives events and the things we're going to be doing here at the DJ Motivation Podcast, just go to djmotivation.com, opt in. You're going to get some free music from me, DJ Johnny Scott, and some other free goodies along the way as you get emails from us, okay? So remember, share this, like this, and go over to djmotivation.com and opt into our list. We're lucky you're here. We'll see you next time on the podcast.